So the next article in our prelim section is related to AI Action Summit, and we will be covering AI. We have covered AI. Let me say it clearly. We have covered AI in different DNA sessions, and this today we will be very short and brief in this AI Action Summit, because this is important. The summit is very important for prelims, and the other parts of AI we have discussed earlier, so you can go back and refer to our previous videos. This comes in the backdrop that PM Modi will be visiting France to co-chair the AI Action Summit. This can be important for your prelims. This comes in issues of international importance. Moving ahead, if we look at this news, then this is being followed by previous AI safety meetings in the UK 2023 and South Korea in 2024. So AI has been a challenge. Vis-a-vis that AI, we don't know what AI can do and cannot do. And whenever AI becomes more powerful than the earlier version of the AI, the governments get into trouble because they cannot keep up with the developments in the technology. Technology always runs ahead or front running करती है हमेशा गवर्नमेंट के regulations के साथ. So we are trying to come together with the world in order to come up with a better solutions for AI safety. And there is one more issue which will become relevant in our discussion in later part, that all the AI startups and everything is happening in the Western world. So the training and everything is being done by the Western civilization or Western people, and the tools and the products that come out of AI, coming out or maybe come out from the AI, they will be used by all over the world. So there is a lack of voice or lack of representation from the global south, and India can play a constructive role when it comes to representing the global south. So this is the AI Action Summit and the background for it. Now, what is the agenda of this summit? The agenda is very simple, that we need to ensure AI safety, we need to ensure innovation is there, public interest is taken care of, and then future of work and governance issues vis-a-vis AI. So with regards to AI, everything is under issue, because AI will be incorporated in everything. So if you have opened your Gmail recently, there is AI. If you have opened your WhatsApp, Facebook or Instagram, there is AI. So you open any app and there is AI. Similarly, you open up a police station, there is an AI. If you open up a Panchayat Bhavan, there is an AI. So everything has to be safeguarded because AI is everywhere. That's the agenda of this summit. Now, opportunities for India is to be the voice of Global South, as I was discussing. And the expected outcome is that we will come up with a governance and responsible development of AI. Moving ahead, there are two issues which India can represent at this action summit, or let's say in your mains answer you can put it like that India can advocate for two things, or we should advocate for two things. One is that democratization of access to AI resources should be done. What are AI resources? AI resources mainly means data sets and storage infrastructure, that is your data center. They should be located in local areas or democratized at least. Then cloud computing platform should be democratized, access to everybody. Then foundation models and application development tools. Basically, what tools are required to develop an AI model should be given democratically to everyone, so that everybody can compete. So these three things should be focused in your first point. In your second point, AI should be use case basis. It should be developed in that manner for global growth, because global south has different challenges than global north. Global south has challenges like healthcare, education, agriculture, and they should be prioritized. Just like tropically neglected diseases are there, these diseases which usually happens in tropics and are neglected by the labs that develop drugs because they are in the Western world. Similar thing can happen with the AI, that all the problems and issues faced by the global south may not be taken into consideration when you are developing an AI model. AI model to compete, or let's say to do things for the Western world. So that's democratization and representation of global south. Further, we will discuss that there are risks and there has to be some measures regarding AI. The risk faced by global south is that the data, basically the training language is done by the West, and the South has no voice into it, and there are specific harms related to AI when it comes to global south. What can be the conclusion? What conclusion did the writer says? The writer says that as a co-chair, India has a strategic opportunity to shape AI governance. Shaping AI governance meaning that giving a shape in a way that it fits the needs and requirements of the global south. So India can shape AI government, innovation and safety for the global south. by advocating equitable AI access to everybody, localized AI use cases, meaning healthcare, education, agriculture, and tailored risk management, because everywhere risk is not same, very different. India can strengthen its global leadership in AI policy making. It is a chance for India to make an impact on AI policy making globally. There is a question for you in terms of prelims, for prelims, and try to read this question and come up with the solution and answer your answer in the comment sections. So the next article is concerning MP dam project, and it is causing a threat to critical tiger reserves in MP and in Maharashtra also. So that is in news, and NTCA warns that the Morand Ganjal, so Morand Ganjal dam project will harm these tiger reserves corridor. Not these tiger reserves particularly, but the corridor will be submerged and the link between these two tiger reserves will be broken. Why do you think the tiger corridor, the tiger reserve corridor is important? I'll tell you. Imagine there is a confined area where a limited number of tiger population is living. They will be interbreeding, and you know, when interbreeding happens, there is a larger chance for genetic disorders, and the population cannot sustain for a longer period of time. There is a larger chance for genetic disorder. Not that genetic disorder will come, there is a larger chance. So this corridor basically intermix these populations and try to maintain this diversity so that the population can sustain for longer period of time. That corridor has come into threat as per NTCA. What is NTCA? National Tiger Conservation Authority. This is an important authority because it is managing all the tiger reserves. We will see in a while. This comes in your environment and ecology section, and the news says that submerged forested area crucial for tiger movement between reserves, it will be caused by the project. Further, it says that loss of ecological connectivity and reverse ecological gains in Satpura and Melghat reserves will happen. So we have gained certain things out of these tiger corridors, or let's say reserves. These gains will be lost. The region is home for endangered species like leopards, wolves, wild dogs, hyenas and herbivores. It is very important to know. Moving ahead, what is this Morand Ganjal irrigation project? So to irrigate around 211 villages in Betul, Hoshangabad, Harda, Khandwa in MP, this project was designed in 1972 but approved in 2017 by the Madhya Pradesh government, and it will make around 600 members of Korkus. There is a tribe in MP, Korkus. Their 600 members will be displaced, will be losing their job also. So this is the cause of concern, and the forested area will be submerged. So overall, humans will be impacted, the ecology will be impacted, but the irrigation has to be ensured. So there is a conflict between development and environment. The age-old scenario, development versus environment. Now, how to resolve this tussle? You have to answer. We will discuss about Satpura and Melghat tiger reserves. Satpura tiger reserve is in MP. Melghat tiger reserve is in Maharashtra. These two tigers are connected through a corridor. That corridor is in question. Now, what are tiger reserves? Tiger reserves are legally protected areas under Project Tiger and managed by NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority. What is the importance of corridor, which I have already discussed. Further, I'll give you a question on this topic. Try to read this question carefully and solve. Submit your answer in the comment section. We'll jump to the next topic. So the next article related to right to property. So it has become quite viral about South Africa, that there are certain organizations which are trying to change the land holding, historical land holding scenario in South Africa, because of the racial issue. The whites have owned land there and the blacks they have not. Usually the apartheid situation in South Africa and all the history related to South Africa. Now there was a issue in South Africa, and Donald Trump said something, and then Ramaphosa, the Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, replied. In that context, this become very important. So one concept which I will explain in this article, that is very important, and the backdrop and the relevance you will understand easily, that it is connected to Indian polity, constitution, and the context is Donald Trump's comment on South Africa. There is this concept of eminent domain. So right now we understand very nicely then state that that all the people in India, they own land in the protection of the state basically. So a state can come anytime, they can come anytime and they can acquire and own your land for public utility maybe, or maybe extreme necessity. For example, whenever there is an acquisition for defense, there is nothing you can do, you have to give away your land, sort of, that's the scenario. But this concept, this is called eminent domain. This doesn't come from India, it comes from outside. So there is a commonality between India, South Africa and America, that they all were colonies at one point of time and colonized by Europeans. So the common thing between these three countries is that their law regarding expropriation, cession or acquisition of property, they all have eminent domain as a concept. So the concept basically allows compulsory acquisition for public purposes and extreme necessity. And it was given by Hugo Grotius, a Dutch writer, in 1652. He emphasized that state authority is supreme when it comes to land ownership. And from roots in Europe, it came to all the colonies also. Having said that, what happened in India after independence was also a very different story when it comes to right to property. Earlier, right to property was a fundamental right. And you know, there is a famous case of Keswanand Bharati case. That case originates from this right to property. Everything, almost everything wrong with, let's say, everything wrong with Pakistan right now because of the land issue, because there are zamindari still allowed in our neighbor. It was India only. So what happened with this part of India? This part of India tried to give right to property as a fundamental right, but then we have to change. We have to change into something else. Okay, so 19.1, 31.1, 31.2, all these articles, they were given fundamental right to citizens, right to property. Then came 44th Amendment and the right to property was gone. It was given a constitutional status, 300A. What 300A says that yes, no person shall be deprived of his property. Illegal means without authority of law. You cannot deprive people from property. And there was an act which basically talks about fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, rehabilitation, resettlement. So it not only talks about acquisition, it talks about rehabilitation, it talks about resettlement also. There is a social impact assessment also to be done before you acquire any land, and you assess the market prices, assess the social impact, everything done, and then you compensate and rehabilitate, resettle, then you can acquire, that too according to a law. That is present position, a constitutional right with citizens according to this act. Now, there is a question for you on this topic. Read this question, comment your answer in the comment section below. We will jump to the next topic. This topic relates to the National Manuscript Mission. So, earlier there was a mission. The mission was named as Gyan Bharatam Mission. But this National Mission on Manuscript also came. We don't know really these two missions are same or different, but we will discuss this National Manuscript Mission. 500 crore fund has been given to preserve manuscripts. What are manuscripts? What are manuscripts? Manuscripts are, think them like documents which are very old, first and foremost. They are very old and they are original documents of different things. Maybe copies also, but they are very old, written on patra, written on different papers of maybe birch, पेड़ की छाल पे लिखा और different material पे लिखा हुआ, but very old. That is called manuscript. Okay, and the interesting thing, the website name is very interesting. I put it deliberately. The name of the website is Pandulipi Patala. Pandulipi in Hindi, manuscript is called Pandulipi. So it is this manuscript. So center has allocated 500 crore for 6 years for National Manuscript Mission, a special financial committee, and it comes under government schemes. It is launched in 2003. It was launched in 2003 in the 10th 5-year plan and Ministry of Tourism and Culture. But there was this Bharat Gyan mission also. So there is a confusion whether this mission is continuing or what is happening. So we will see. Document, conserve and preserve karna hai all the manuscripts, and it acts under Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts. Remember it. It is not under Ministry of, let's say, a department of this or or a National Art Museum or something, they will say this museum is conducting this, but it is conducted by Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts. Alright. Technology and digitization, we are using technology and digitization. We are trying to collaborate with IGNCA to develop a method, or let's say digitize these manuscripts, a way of digitizing these manuscripts. What are different methods? We are using normal method of lamination, restoration and deacidification to prevent manuscript deterioration. These kind of documents are manuscripts. Provide training in preventive conservation and operates Manuscript Resource Center, MRCs and Manuscript Conservation Centers to address regional and thematic conservation needs, because regional things are not preserved very nicely, so it has regional component into it. Moving ahead, the Gyan Bharatam mission, there was a mission in 2025-26 Union Budget 25-26. Objective is to survey, document, conserve more than 1 crore manuscript with academic institution, museums, library and private collectors. A national digital repository of Indian knowledge system for knowledge sharing is also proposed, but we are not sure these are merged or these are working differently. Most likely they will be merged. So this is it for today, and there is a question for you at the end, and we hope that you like, share and subscribe to NextIAS, and please keep watching DNA in future also. Thank you.
Starting with the next article, which is revolving around India-EFTA trade agreement, which is officially called TEPA. Why is this in news? Recently, an EFTA desk was established so as to facilitate companies to trade better with the EFTA countries, and this is to take advantage of the trade deal which was signed last year in March. So this is the context of the news. The article mentions certain benefits and factual details about what is EFTA, what are the EFTA countries, what is the trade deal, what are the thorny issues between these two what are the thorny issues between these two constituents. Now, it is relevant from international relations and Indian economy as well, and what are the nature and the trade pattern between these two trading constituents is also important. So here's certain factual information about EFTA. EFTA is an intergovernmental organization set up in 1960 for the promotion of free trade and economic integration for the benefit of its 4 member states. The countries under EFTA are Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. Significance of IFTA industries. So simply putting it in simple words, that is, these countries have advanced technology. They have access to technologies in areas like precision engineering, renewable energy, pharmaceuticals and financial services. These key industries are important for any innovation driven economy. And importance of EFTA for India is sustainability efforts, because there are companies in these countries which India can benefit from, technological advancement and investment. Then the value addition points can be, one is the official name, which we have already discussed. Then second is the EFTA members, which again we have discussed. Third is the trade gap. The trade gap is in favor of EFTA countries. Fine. And the largest trading partner is Switzerland, and then Norway. Then we can say that India is 5th largest trading partner of the EFTA countries. Then we will discuss about certain thorny issues which were part of the India-EFTA trade deal, and they have been in news repeatedly. The first is data exclusivity. Second is sensitive farm products. Then third is gold imports. So these three things have been kept out of the trade deal. And another thing to be mentioned is the commitment made by the EFTA countries is $100 billion in the next 15 years, and also to create 1 million jobs. And this is binding on companies of Switzerland. This is not a sovereign commitment. This is not the commitment by the government of these four countries. Rather, it is a commitment for the companies there to invest $100 billion in next 15 years. And in case, if this commitment is not kept, then what? Then the easy market access given to these countries will be taken off. Here we have mentioned for certain benefits, that is reduced tariff, ease of customs, intellectual property protections. Here you can use data exclusivity as an exception. What is data exclusivity? So generic medicines are made on the data available on human clinical trials. So this data is part of intellectual property. Countries like Switzerland, they do not have natural resources like land, water. So they focus on resources like intellectual property rights. So these countries like Norway and Switzerland, they have many pharma and biotechnology companies. So these companies are apprehensive of the generic medicine and pharma industry of India. So in that, these countries wanted data exclusivity, that is, the data of the human clinical trials would not be shared with the generic medicine companies for certain years. So this has been kept out because public health is an important concern for India, and generic medicines forms an important thorny issue, but it is also important for public health. So that is why this was kept out. Here we have again mentioned about the details of the trade deal, and these are: EFTA aims to boost FDI in India by US 100 billion over next 15 years and create 1 million direct jobs through investments. Legal commitment has been made about promoting target-oriented investment and creation of jobs. The agreement will boost Make in India and provide opportunities for young and talented workforce. Here we have a practice question. Do attempt this and let us know in the comment box below. Now the third article, which is related to Article 200. This finds relevance in Indian polity, and to be specific to the topic of federalism, center-state relations, and here specifically on the office of governor. Article 200 can also be used directly in mains answer writing as one of the current issues between center and states, and you can mention states such as Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Punjab. And the way in which Article 200 has been used is a classical case of party politics impacting India's federal structure. These states have moved to Supreme Court and they have asked the Supreme Court's intervention in the governor withholding assent to bills passed by the state legislature indefinitely, and there is no particular time limit mentioned in the constitution up till which the governor can withhold assent. So article 200 becomes important in this context, and it is also part of the static, so integrating the current affairs with the static part. So what is the background of the news? Currently the bench was hearing petition filed by Tamil Nadu government challenging the governor's decision to withhold assent to certain bills and forward some to the president. Views by the court said the state would know what objection need to be looked into if the reasons for withholding assents are communicated to. So this can become part of your mains suggestions way forward, that is the governor should state the reasons as to why is he either withholding assent or reserving the bill for the consideration of president. What does the article 200 of the Indian Constitution outline? So the article says what is the power of the governor in case if the bill passed by the legislative assembly is placed before the governor. First of all, there is an option that the governor may give assent. Second, the governor might withhold assent. The governor might resend the bill to the state legislature for reconsidering. Fourth, may reserve the bill for the consideration of president. However, it should be noticed that if the bill in question endangers the position of High Court, then it is mandatory. The article of the Constitution says the governor shall reserve. So in cases where the bill compromises the position of the High Court, in that case the governor has to reserve that bill for the consideration of the president. Else it is not mandatory. The governor, even though, can reserve the bill. And here there are certain cases like fundamental rights, DPSPs, where the governor has seen to be reserving the bill for the president. And in case if the bill has been reserved for president, then governor subsequently has no role in the process. This reserved bill, if the president takes a look, is then resent back to the state legislative assembly, and from there, in case the state legislative assembly again makes some modification or passes it as so, it will then again be sent to the president, and if president gives assent to the bill again, the bill becomes law. So the governor is bypassed. The second thing to be noticed is if the governor resends the bill for the reconsideration of state legislative assembly, then in that case, if the state legislative assembly, number one, passes it without modification, second, amends it and then passes, here the governor will mandatorily have to give assent. So here there is no scope of discretion. But in withholding assent, the constitutional says as soon as possible the governor can pass it on or reconsider it for the state legislature. But as soon as is not a quantifiable timeline. So there is no particular timeline given in the constitution, and this situational discretion is being used by the governor. So this was the topic, and here we have again dealt in a bit of detail, that is returning the bill for reconsideration. Here the governor will have to give assent and reserve the bill for president assent. If the bill is contrary to the constitution and affects power of the High Court or contradicts central laws, the governor may reserve it for the president. In case of High Court, it is mandatory. In case it may contradict central law, then it is up to the governor. And here one of the laws was the NEET bill passed by Tamil Nadu government. Here we have mentioned a practice question. Do attempt this and let us know the answer in the comment box below. The fourth article of the day is India, France and AI. There is going to be an AI summit in France, and the Prime Minister is in France for participation in the summit. So this makes the bilateral relations between India and France and the AI diplomacy an important theme for us. What are the important themes? The AI diplomacy and India-France relation. The landscape of the article is such that initially it mentions about India's special relationship with France. Then after that, role of AI as a diplomacy tool and how is it becoming important. We have seen that the article mentions certain multilateral institutions like GPI, which is Global Partnership for Artificial Intelligence. Then it mentions the Bletchley Declaration. Then it mentions the Seoul Declaration. And afterwards, it also highlights how technology is becoming more important. So this is the landscape and how India is also investing in its own AI mission. So let's start with the article. India and France's historical strategic relationship. So historic ties based on strategic autonomy. So France is one of those countries which understands and respects India's stance on strategic autonomy. EU as a multilateral organization, and EU foreign policy is dictated by US's foreign policy priorities, and among EU, France is one of the countries which advocates autonomy of EU's foreign policy. So that is why we see convergence between France's national priorities and India's national priorities. And how can we prove this, that France understands India's strategic autonomy, is that France did not impose sanction after India's nuclear test. And in 1976, the President Chirac attended Republic Day during the emergency period. During the emergency period, India was being criticized for decline in democratic capital, and the West was particularly critical of India. But even during that time, France's president visited India, and that too during Republic Day. And it was in 1998, the then President of France called the relationship between India and France as the partnership for 21st century. And now we are also seeing that relationship between these two countries is transversing into new domains such as AI. So here we have mentioned a few examples where India and France are already cooperating, and defense cooperation is one of the central features of the relationship. Here we see purchase of Rafale fighters from the company called Dassault. Then we see P-75 India's program where Scorpene class submarine. These are diesel electric submarine. Then annual defense dialogue and high committee on defense cooperation. So there is an annual institutional mechanism for collaboration on the defense things. Then collaboration of next generation fighter plane engines. This will have co-development as one of the features. Then technology and energy cooperation. Energy cooperation, specifically nuclear. So DRDO has recently opened its office in Indian Embassy in France in 2023. Joint working groups are in place in renewable energy, critical minerals, defense, startups and advanced manufacturing. And India also participating in ITER, which is a prototype of a fusion reactor, and in which France is also an important stakeholder. So this highlights how relationship between India and France is along many lines. Now focusing upon the AI summit. The Paris summit will build upon the previous AI summits, such as here they have mentioned the UK summit which happened in Bletchley Park. Also it had a declaration called Bletchley Declaration, and the Bletchley Declaration affirmed that AI should be safe, human-centric, trustworthy and responsible. Then there was Seoul summit. It was in May 2024. It proposed a network of AI safety institutes. So you can keep these things in mind. For example, here principles were affirmed in Bletchley Declaration, whereas in the Seoul Summit we see a network of AI safety institute has been a network of AI safety institutes has been proposed. Then it says that there are 5 important themes of Paris AI Summit, this being public interest AI, future of work. AI will definitely impact the work. It will impact the jobs. So what are the jobs of the future? How should we invest? How should we upskill and upgrade the workers? Then we see innovation and culture. How will AI impact innovation? So this is an important theme, whereas plagiarism is one of the criticisms of AI. Then trust in AI, biasness in AI system, then global AI governance, how to govern, because the MNCs are in control of AI. The state-led AI programs are in nascent stage, and the companies are not accountable to any one particular democratic institution. So now it is said that there should be a global governance architecture so that the MNCs can be governed, because MNCs have data centers in one location and processing facilities somewhere else. So it is beyond the jurisdiction of any one country. Then India at the AI Summit. India will be co-chairing the summit, recognizing India's AI advancements and responsible approach. So it also has a platform for global AI governance. Focus will be on inclusivity, responsibility and equitable AI development, because we see that AI development is not equal throughout the globe. There are few countries which are more capable in AI, so that AI does not create new kinds of inequalities. So that the AI is harnessed for the benefit of the human civilization. So we see India is taking a forefront. What is India's AI strategy? So India has its own AI mission, which is of the tune of 10,731 crore. And we have the initiative of making AI in India, making AI for India. It aims to democratize AI innovation, just as we discussed. What is democratization? Limiting that AI should be exclusively in hands of few MNCs or few countries. GPI, this is a multilateral body, whereas India is a founding member and lead chair in the 2024 GPI. Bridging AI divide. India is pushing for inclusive AI governance and ensuring AI benefits are shared equitably. Global South priorities. India is advocating empowerment of voices from the Global South in AI governance. India's AI mission. We have delved a bit deeper here. The public-private partnership model is used here, and it is under the Ministry of Electronics and IT. This initiative aims to boost domestic AI development while cutting dependence on costly foreign hardware. So India will have to limit its critical dependence. Okay. Key components. What are the key components of the initiative? That is compute capacity. Compute capacity as if the processing. Then India AI Innovation Center. Data sets. This will focus on quality data. AI application development initiative. Future skills. Skilling. Then we have startup financing and safe and trusted AI. This will again focus upon incubating startups in the AI and deep tech sector. And here they have mentioned what all are the avenues in which India-France relationship is expanding, and it is going beyond AI. So here they have economics of trade, and specifically Make in India, and collaboration on renewable energy, defense, startups and critical minerals. Then we have Tech Innovation Partnership, launching the India-France Innovation Year in 2026. TIP, this is an important initiative. New Indian Consulate in Marseille. This is in France. This will strengthen people-to-people ties. India-France CEO Forum. This will encourage the relationship to go beyond state to state. Here we are creating collaboration between businesses of two countries. And triangular development cooperation. Triangular development means India, France jointly trying to develop projects and development projects in different countries. And here we see triangular cooperation between India, France, and the other country. This will be more focused upon SDGs. Now the conclusion is, the visit highlights India-France cooperation in AI, defense, trade, technology, and reaffirming strategic partnership in shaping the future. Here we have a MCQ practice question. Please do answer it and let us know in the comment box below. Now the last article for the day is, what has the budget offered scientist? So it focuses upon allocation and priorities in the union budget for the sector of science. So 20,000 crore allocated for private sector driven research, development and innovation initiatives in the budget. How is it relevant? It is relevant in the section of government schemes plus science and tech. There are many initiatives mentioned in this particular article which can become a question in themselves. So these initiatives are important, their outlay is important, their strategy, what kind of problems they want to solve, these become important. In this article, it is a broad and a macro article, and we will look at it like that only. So increased research and innovation funding. So 20,000 crore has been allocated for research and innovation under Department of Science and Technology, especially in deep tech and sunrise sector. What are deep tech? Deep tech is, for example, quantum. So what are sunrise sectors? These are sectors which are yet to be developed. For example, biomanufacturing. So these are sunrise sectors. What are sunset sectors? Which are saturated. For example, the traditional textile sectors. The textile sector based on cotton is a sunset sector, whereas geotextile as a sector is a sunrise sector because it has a scope of growth. So the research and innovation funding focuses on private sector participation to boost gene editing, personalized medicine and sustainable agriculture. The article mentions about National Geo Portal, and it was announced to improve spatial data availability. So there is a mission on geosciences, and specifically the allocation for the mission has increased. So that is why this is in news. Then the objective is focused attempt to bring together academia, private sector, startups to work on national missions. So the architecture of the national missions in science and tech, you will see that there is national mission on quantum tech, national mission on green hydrogen, there is national mission on AI. So these are immediate missions. These focus on the priorities which are immediate in nature. So for that, there has been a focused attempt to bring academia, which does research, private sector, which has the flexibility to implement the initiatives faster, and the startups, which can again innovate and implement in unconventional ways. So we have to bring in all the resources together so that the goals of the mission are realized. Then the article mentions about India's biotech sector. It reflects the allocation, which is significantly higher, 51% higher than previous year's allocation. Then it mentions BioRide scheme. It is a scheme to foster innovation, promote bio-entrepreneurship and strengthen India's position as a global leader in biomanufacturing and biotechnology. Then the article mentions about National Mission on high yielding seeds. So this is important from agriculture plus tech. How biotechnology can improve agriculture productivity. Here the strengthening and research ecosystem and developing high yielding, pest resistance and climate resilient seeds. Then it also mentions the contribution of self-reliance. How? Through missions on minor oil seeds. India is one of the largest importer of edible oils. So in this particular segment, this will cater to indigenization and Atmanirbharta in edible oils. Then the article mentions about BioE3, biotechnology for economy, environment and employment policy, fostering high performance biomanufacturing. So we will see that biomanufacturing is very important and biotechnology is one of the thrust areas. So we will prepare this sector in depth. Expansion of startup ecosystem. So it is said in the article that India raised 850 million in deep tech startups in 2023, showcasing a growing innovation trend. The 10,000 crore funds for startup introduced to enhance deep tech ecosystem focused on AI, biotech and space technology. So there is a special facility for deep tech startups. And the article also mentions about certain challenges with the article also mentions certain challenges which the budget provisions will create and what are the criticisms of the current budget. So one should have an overall whole approach towards preparation. What are the challenges? The importance of curiosity driven science doesn't seem to be a major priority, and much of the funding appears directed towards mission mode projects such as nuclear energy, AI, private sector initiatives. The funding for Indian Institute of Science and IISERs has been reduced. And new education policy recommends the expenditure on education to be 6% of the GDP, which requires at least 10% of the union budget to be spent on education. This year, the allocation is only 2.4%. So these are data points also. So this article is relevant from prelims as well as mains as well as interview point of view. So please use all these data and this analysis accordingly. Here again we have a practice question. Do answer this question and let us know the answer in the comment box below. That's all for today's discussion. I hope you must have liked the discussion and please let us know any feedback in the comment box below. Thank you.
Now we will discuss 4 articles of our prelims explained section. The first article is regarding President Rule, Article 356. So the backdrop of this article has Manipur faces political uncertainty after CM N. Biren Singh resigned. So in Manipur crisis, what has happened? Ki the CM has resigned, and due to which there is a issue of constitutional machinery not functioning. In this backdrop, this article has came. So the article says Manipur crisis drags on as BJP weighs its option. Now, what is the relevance of this article for our examination purpose? It is in the context of issues of national importance and Indian polity paper. It can be asked in our prelims as well as our mains. So we will cover this article in a hybrid mode little bit. We will also cover some areas which is useful for our mains section also. So let us understand what is the news. N. Biren Singh has resigned as Manipur CM. We have covered this already on Feb 9, 2025, creating a political uncertainty because there is no Council of Ministers working right now in the state. He continues as the caretaker CM as no party including the ruling BSP or opposition stake claim to form the government. The Manipur Assembly, also one issue important has happened that Manipur Assembly itself has not met since August 12, 2024. The 6-month deadline under Article 174(1) lapsed on February 12, 2025. Now what happened? Under Article 174(1), it is required that the session duration gap between 2 sessions should not be more than 6 months, but this has happened. Governor Ajay Kumar Bhalla did not summon the House before the deadline. Now this is the context of the news. Now let us understand about the President Rule and various other things regarding it. Article 355 of the Constitution of India imposes a duty on the centre to ensure that the government of every state is carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Then Article 356, it says that it is imposed in case of failure of constitutional machinery. Like right now, the constitutional machinery is not working as there is no elected CM, rather a caretaker CM is doing the job of a CM. In the state, this is popularly known as President Rule. It is also known as State Emergency or Constitutional Emergency. These are various names of President Rule. The word President Rule is nowhere written in the Constitution. We have to always remember this. This question even can be asked in the UPSC Prelims examination itself. Then there is another article 365 which is also related to the President Rule. It says that consequences of failing to comply with or implement direction issued by the Union. So if for example central government or union government issue a direction to the state legislature or state government and they are not following that direction, then again under Article 365 President Rule or State Emergency can be imposed. Now let us move ahead and discuss what is the various nuances of this Article 356. So parliamentary approval is required also. And what is the duration for this president rule? So it must be approved by both houses within 2 months. 2 months, always remember, it is a time limit under which this president rule should be approved. If Lok Sabha is dissolved, proclamation survives for 30 days from its first sitting. For example, Lok Sabha is dissolved and it is not under the session. So what will happen? Proclamation survive for 30 days from the first sitting after reconstitution with Rajya Sabha approval. But in that duration, Rajya Sabha should approve. It is valid for 6 months. So the duration for which this will exist after the approval is 6 months. Extendable up to 3 years with 6 months approval. So maximum duration for president rule is 3 years, and in between that duration, after each 6 months, there should be approval. Can be revoked by the president any time without parliamentary approval. It can be revoked by the president any time. There is no need to approval from parliament. It can be revoked by president itself. Now let us understand what are the various consequences of president rule. This can be asked in our mains examination. So what is the powers of president? What happens to the power of president? We will see. Takes over state government function and power. Even this consequences can be asked in prelims by framing various statements that when president rule is imposed, what impact it will happen on powers of president, state administration, legislation and governance. These type of statements can come. So you have to understand the nuances and mark as per the question. State legislature power exercised by parliament. Even state legislature power goes to parliament, and state government function and power is taken over by president. State administration, state council of ministers dismissed. You have to understand that they are dismissed, they are not there. The governor administers the state on behalf of the president. State assembly can be suspended or dissolved. You have also to keep in the mind that state assembly either dissolved or suspended. It does not mean that it is automatically dissolved. It may be dissolved or it may be suspended. You have to understand. Parliament passes state bills and budget. So parliament, not state legislature, is now the authority to pass various state bills and budget. What happens to legislation and governance? Parliament or the president can make state laws. Both can make. Parliament or president, whoever is assigned. Laws continue post president's rule until repealed by the state legislature. So those laws which are formulated or which are legislated during the course when president rule is there by parliament, they exist until and unless it is being repealed by the state legislature. Then high court power and status remain unaffected. There is no at all impact of president rule on high court or judiciary. Let us see, there are various historical instances in which president rule already has been imposed. From in this our table, you can see number of time president rule was imposed since 1950. Till between 1950 to 1970, in this 20 years, 20 times. 1971 to 1990, the peak of the president rule imposition, 63 times. A lot of state was put under by various central governments under president rule. Then 1991 to 2010, only 27 times. It again reduced. Post SR Bomai case, it has further reduced. 2011 to 2016, only 5 times. From here we can see again, due to the interference of judiciary, it has been put to the rest. First imposed in Punjab. These are some factual things which can be asked in your prelims examination. First imposed in Punjab in 1951. Then it was used in 1977 by Janata Party. 1980 Congress in multiple states post election. Actually, in this time period, multiple states was pushed under the, and after mostly elections happened, and when there is a different party at union and state level, then this happened. In 1992, imposed on 3 BJP rule states, Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh and Rajasthan, for non-implementation of secular directives. In the wake of Babri Masjid demolition and other happenings which happened in those time, 3 BJP ruled state was put under president rule. The frequency, it is imposed over 125 times since 1950. Criticism, it is criticized for arbitrary and politically motivated usage. So that's what the various facts regarding president rule. Now there are some Supreme Court judgments also regarding this issue. State of Rajasthan versus Union of India in 1977. what happened in 1977? Supreme Court said that President's satisfaction under Article 356 is subjective. It is subjective and not open to judicial review at that time. But in SR Bomai case, what happened? It overturned Rajasthan case, but Supreme Court allowed also judicial review of precedent rule, which earlier was not allowed. So post SR Bomai, if there is any imposition of precedent rule and the judiciary feels it is arbitrarily done, it can review it. Then there is also one case, Bharat Bhai Bhagwanji Bhai versus State of Gujarat 2002 case. Here what happened? Failure to meet the 6-month schedule is not sufficient ground for imposing precedent rule. So we have seen that Article 174(1), it says that there should be a gap, there should not be a gap more than 6 months between two assembly sessions. But this already happened in Gujarat and there was a case, but Supreme Court said that if failure to meet the 6 months is not sufficient ground for imposition of precedent rule, because nothing is written in the constitution. Only the thing is that assembly should meet at least one between 6 months. There should not be a gap more than. But what will happen? This is not written. There are various challenges to precedent rule, like potential for misuse, then undermining federalism, lack of clear criteria. Like potential for misuse, already we have seen various times it has been used, like 125 times since 1950. Undermining federalism, it means because parliament and president start working under the domain of state legislative assembly and state executive. So that's why it is a challenge. There is lack of clear criteria. There is a lot of subjectivity in imposition of precedent rule. That's why. Then there is suspension of democratic process. Why? Because through precedent rule, dismissal of elected government is happening. That's why it is against the democratic spirit. Tendency towards centralization, as union or center becomes overall authority to do whatever being done by state legislature or state executive. Impact on development also happen because the funds, the policies, each and everything is being made by the center and the parliament. So the development process gets hampered, local issues get sidelined, these things happen. Now what is the way forward? For way forward, we have various committees. Various committees have recommended a lot of things regarding this, some of which is highlighted here and we will look into. Like Pucci Commission has itself said, proposed to localize the emergency provision under Article 355 and 356. Then Sarkaria Commission also has said that precedent rule is to be used as a measure of last resort. When all available alternatives fail, then only go to and use the precedent rule to impose in the states. Beside it, there is also Interstate Council which has recommended that the proclamation need to be ratified only with a month instead of 2 months. We have already seen that there is a provision that Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha should ratify the proclamation within 2 months, but the Interstate Council said it should be 1 month. Then there is recommendation of NCRWC, that is National Commission to Review Working of Constitution. It said that Article 356 should not be deleted, but it must be used sparingly and only as a remedy of the last resort. Now let us see a practice question which you should practice, and this already has been come into the UPSC examination, from where you can understand the importance of this topic. If the President of India exercises his power as provided under Article 356 of the Constitution in respect of a particular state, then the Assembly of the state is automatically dissolved. Power of the legislature of that state shall be exercisable by or under the authority of the Parliament. Article 19 is suspended in that state. President can make laws relating to that state. So our humble request to all of you, please mark correct answer in our comment section. Now let us move to the next topic, that is energy sector role. So the backdrop of this article is that at the inauguration of India Energy Week, Honorable Prime Minister has remarked that the energy sector drives Indian as well as global growth. So this was the context under which this article has appeared in the newspaper. Its relevance is Indian economy, particularly this is also relevant for our mains examination, where you can show the role of energy sector. So the article headline is Energy sector has key role as India drives global growth, said by Honorable Prime Minister. Now various key energy segments which are important for India's growth and which are the drivers of India's energy security. First is oil and gas, second is solar and other renewables, Then battery and storage system, it is becoming a new and emerging energy security or energy resource segment. Then there is electric mobility ecosystem. After that there is nuclear energy also. So let us see what is the contribution of each sector. So from here we can see that the solar power has a contribution of around 21%, and thermal power, it is first at the number, it is 53%. Thermal power 53% contribution in India's energy sector. Then solar power is with 21%. After that we have our hydro, basically large hydro, not hydro, basically large hydro, it is around 10.13%. Then small hydro is only 1.141%. Then biopower is also 2.45%. Nuclear power is 1.76%. This data is from National Power Portal and it is updated daily. So this is the latest data on India's energy sector distribution. Total capacity is 463 gigawatt. Now, even this question can be asked, what is the contribution of thermal sector, what is the contribution of solar power in percentage wise or on the ranking, first, second, third, which contributes more. So this can be asked like trend, or even in prelims, and in mains you can use this data to enrich your content. Then India's energy ambitions are built on 5 pillars, which Prime Minister has said in the yesterday's India Energy Week. First is harnessing resources, second is encouraging innovation, third is country's economic strength and political stability, fourth is India's strategic geography that makes energy trade attractive and easier. Like India is at the hub where the concept one sun, one world, one grid will take place due to the geographic location, like it passes Tropic of Cancer passes through India, and that's why India has abundant solar energy also. So beside it, India can connect various regions in the neighborhood also. So that's why it is a very strategic geography. Beside it, commitment to global sustainability through our Panchamrit, through our various commitment, nationally determined commitments, we have always been focused towards energy sustainability. Now, India's growth over last decade, how India's growth has taken place with the or vis-a-vis energy security. Solar energy capacity has increased by 32 times, about 100 gigawatt, and it is third largest solar power generating nation. Then India's total renewable energy installed capacity is 165.2 gigawatt. That is a very huge amount. Then budget 2024 said that power sector initiatives has been allocated 50% more funds in our union budget 2024, mostly to the areas like green hydrogen, solar power, green energy. Even this year's budget 2025 has focused on nuclear power mission. India is also targeting nuclear power mission, and the target is around 100 gigawatt. So we are diversifying our sources. India is third largest producer and consumer of electricity worldwide with an installed power capacity of 442 gigawatt. We have seen that this has increased to 462 gigawatt today. Then critical mineral mission has also been announced, and it aims to boost domestic output and recycling for various other segments like battery energy storage system depends heavily on critical mineral mission. So from this we can understand that growth in the energy sector opens up opportunity in manufacturing, innovation and infrastructure sector. Now let us see a practice question on this topic. With reference to solar power production in India, consider the following statement. India is the third largest in the world in the manufacture of silicon wafers used in photovoltaic cells. Solar power tariffs are determined by Solar Energy Corporation of India. Which of the statement given above are correct? So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your option and submit in our comment section. Now let us discuss our next topic, which is regarding to immigration law. The backdrop of this article is Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025 is likely to be introduced by the Union Home Minister in the ongoing budget session. What is the relevance of this? The relevance of this topic is in Indian polity and constitution. This bill itself can be asked, or its provision can be asked in our prelims examination. So the article says, in proposed immigration law, tougher rules and specific rules has been assigned. Let us understand what the new bill says. So the proposed legislation will replace existing laws. What are the various existing laws which will be replaced? First, the passport entry into India Act 1920. Then second is Registration of Foreigners Act 1939 will be repealed. Then Foreigners Act 1946, and finally the Immigration Careers Liability Act 2000. So 3 to 4th Act will be repealed and a new Act which is as per the context of modern requirements will be brought up. It is to be enacted granting the central government powers to mandate passports or travel documents for individuals entering and exiting India and to regulate matters concerning foreigners. So this bill will provide various powers to central government basically to mandate passports or travel documents for individuals who are entering or exiting India and to regulate matters regarding foreigners. There is also provision of penalty of 5 lakh and 10 lakh. 5 lakh for unauthorized entry and 10 lakh for fake passport. So there is not only the act is very smartly using penal provisions also on various other unregulated or illegal activities which is going on under this section. Then key enhancement in the bill. What the bill has brought up new things. First, all migration control under one agency. So there is overlap of a lot of agency regarding immigration, migration. So it will brought everything under one agency. Then it places the onus of deportation on careers, shifting responsibility from the government. So the responsibility to deport illegal immigrants on careers from the government. Then there is also university, hospital and hotels must report foreign visitors. Stringent fines and prison terms for illegal entry, overstaying, document fraud. There is also prison term. We have already seen there is the provision of fines, but here there is also prison term. Airlines and transporters must verify passengers' document or face fines. Then there is government has clearer power to restrict, deport or track foreigners. And then at last, foreigners cannot change the names without approval. So these provisions has been brought up so that current context in which various illegal immigration issues of deportation is happening, these can be tackled in a very holistic way and in an organized manner. Then there is also a practice question. Consider the following statement regarding the proposed Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025. The first statement is seeks to replace the Passport Act, Registration of Foreigners Act, Foreigners Act 1946 and Immigration Act 2000. Then bill aims to regulate matters relating to immigration, including the requirement of passport and visas, registration of foreigners and their movement within India. At last, the bill provides the state government with exclusive authority to issue orders for the removal of foreigners from Indian territory. So you have to mark your correct answer in our comment section. Now let us discuss our next topic, that is last topic, AI Action Summit. So India to host next AI Summit later this year. This has been announced. So what has happened? Why this news has come? And this news AI Action Summit we have already covered in our daily news analysis section or episode of 10th Feb. So you can watch the section and understand it in a more holistic way. Here we will only discuss about what has announced in the AI Action Summit yesterday. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke at a plenary session of the AI Action Summit in France. Under this context, this article has come. The article says that in which Prime Minister has said dawn of AI age need a global framework for trust, transparency. What is the relevance of this? The relevance of this article is government policies, science and technology in our prelims section. What are the various key takeaways from the PM Modi's speech? Need for collective approach to set standards for AI that benefit everyone, especially the global south. Then, despite the fear of job losses due to AI, historical context shows that jobs are not lost, rather new kinds of jobs are created which need reskilling. So the Prime Minister in the context of emergence of technology said that we are not going to lose a job, but we need to adapt to the various new emerging system and reskill ourselves. Then the Prime Minister also spoke about need of a global governance framework to tackle AI, because AI does not have any boundary, does not have any border. So it needs holistic and convergence of various countries to come together and make a global framework for AI regulation. It should be based on shared values and address risks, build trust. That should be the core pillars on which AI regulation should be formulated. Then global governance should make sure that AI is accessible to all. The basic purpose of those frameworks should be that accessibility is not only for some haves but also for those who are not have. Focus should be given to global south where capabilities are most lacking, be it compute, power, talent, data or financial resources. Then what are key takeaways from the Prime Minister's speech? There is need to pool resources and talent to develop open source AI system that enhance trust and transparency. The AI system should be open network. It should not be closed or should not be owned by anyone. But it also focus on enhancing trust and transparency due to various mistrust issues arising from the use of AI. Beside it, the Prime Minister has also said the importance of building high quality unbiased data set of AI model training, high energy consumption of AI data centers and stress the need for green energy solution, international collaboration as a solution such as International Solar Alliance. India is also developing its own large language model in PPP mode. So these provisions are very important. This can be used as a way forward when you are writing something on AI. Let us have a practice question. Consider the following statement regarding the AI Action Summit held in Paris. The US and UK signed a declaration promoting inclusive and unsustainable AI. The European Union announced a Europe 200 billion investment in artificial intelligence to enhance its competitiveness. Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted India's development of its own large language model of AI. So which of the statement given is correct? This is our humble request. Kindly mark your correct answer in our comment section. Your PS will review.
So let's move to our next topic, that is IMEC project. अभी इसके बारे में इसलिए बात हो रही है क्योंकि अभी रिसेंटली प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज वेंट टू फ्रांस. सो दिस इंडिया मिडिल ईस्ट यूरोप कॉरिडोर दैट इज गोइंग टू gain some momentum because some developments are going to come in the future times. Actually, this project was conceived during the last G20 meeting that happened in New Delhi. So we are going to discuss some of the major pointers, right? So if you see today's article on this, that India and France are going to announce that they would continue to work closely on implementing India Middle East Europe corridor, and this project proposed to connect India to Europe through sea and land routes, right? So through sea, rail and land routes, this is going to connect Europe and Asia and specifically India. So with respect to connecting the food basket to the energy basket, because it is going to transit through the Middle East, right? So it is going to be important with respect to prelims also, or if the scope of the question is going to be in the Indian Oceanic region or geopolitical scenario or taking the BRI initiatives of China. So the theme can be on micro prospects also, right? So let's see what this article is going to talk about. So as I tell you, India and Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, it was conceived at the G20 summit in New Delhi, which happened in September 2023, and an MOU was signed between India, US, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Germany and France and Italy and EU. So India, US, Saudi Arabia, UAE, France, Germany, Italy and EU to develop the India's Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, and it will comprise all rail connectivity, shipping lines, high speed data cables. That is very important with respect to the connectivity, because we mostly think that the connectivity is going to be in the food security terms or in terms of energy terms, but it is also going to include high speed data cables and energy pipelines. As I was telling you, that it is going to connect the food baskets to the energy basket. And what is going to be the objective? The objective is to enhance the economic growth through the improved connectivity among the Asia and Arabian Gulf and Europe. So in terms of the continents, Asia connecting to the Europe via the Middle East, that is going to be the Arabian Gulf, and which focuses on strengthening manufacturing, enhancing food security and third, optimizing supply chains, right? So these are going to be the three major objectives, and it was actually came into existence or conceived into G20 summit that happened into India in New Delhi in September 2023. So that is the one thing which you have to remember. Secondly, what is going to be the objective? Third, it is going to have a rail and the shipping connectivity or land or ship connectivity, and it is going to include the high speed data lines and energy pipelines, right? So if I see, or if I want to show you the major map that how it is going to connect, so actually it actually comprises of two major components. The first is going to be the eastern corridor and second is going to be the northern corridor. When we talk about the eastern corridor, it is going to connect India with the Arabian Gulf. So India to Arabian Gulf, and from Arabian Gulf there is going to be the northern corridor which is going to connect to Europe. So this is going to be known as eastern corridor, this is going to be known as northern corridor. So this corridor is going to connect Gulf to the region, and as we have discussed, this incorporates similar transportation infrastructure including rail to ship and links road networks, right? So if I show you this particular map, how it is going to connect, so this is going to be the Mumbai where the first point of connect is going to start, and this is going to showcase the sea route, and this is going to showcase the land and the rail route. So it is going to connect to the Middle East in the UAE, then into Saudi Arabia, then Haifa, a very important, into the Israel, and then entering into the Greece and Europe further, right? So this is going to be the portion of the one corridor, and then the northern corridor is going to start from Middle East connecting to the further interiors of Europe, connecting to Italy, France, Germany, right? So one of the major name Marseille, because Prime Minister has also visited and our first consulate is also going to start in that city. So that city is going to be the opening point for this economic corridor in the France, right? So we will talk about that city also, but that is going to be the major roadmap, or that is going to be the major map that how the connectivity is going to happen. So what you have to remember in this particular particular news, firstly, what is going to be the objective, second, how, when it was conceptualized, third, to which of the major countries or continents it is going to pass, what are going to be the two major components, first is eastern corridor and second northern corridor, and then a very important that which are going to be the major ports where it is going to get connected. So firstly in India, Mundra port, second Kandla port, and third the Jawaharlal Nehru port trust. So these are going to be the three ports which are going to be connected. In Middle East, Jebel Ali, Abu Dhabi, UAE, Fujairah. Then as well as in terms of the Saudi Arabia, there are going to be any port, for example Ras Al Khar ports into Saudi Arabia, then Fujairah port into UAE as we have spoken about, then Haifa port in Israel, as I told you, a very strategic location to connect the Middle East to the further Europe. Then in Europe, it is going to connect Messina in South Italy and Marseille in France. So this particular city or this particular location was in news, as you have seen that Prime Minister visited this, and first consulate is going to be established in this city, and Piraeus force in Greece, right? So these are going to be the three important ports which are going to be in there. So there can be a match the following kind of question, where you can have one side there is going to be ports, other side there is going to be the city name, or it is going to have the country name. So you have to match this particular following, right? So these are going to be the roadmap or how this interlinkage is going to happen. Next, so as I told you, this particular map is going to showcase how this particular corridor is going to function. Next thing, which is going to be a practice question for you, you can comment. As I was telling you, one side you are going to have the port, another side you are going to have the country. For example, Marseille, for example, Ras Al Khar, for example, Haifa. We have just spoken about these particular ports. So kindly comment your correct answer in our comment section. ठीक है, so हमको क्या याद रखना है, पहला, when it is going to be conceptualized, which major countries it is going to surpass, which are going to be the major ports which are going to be connected, these ports are located in which cities and which countries. So these are the three major things, and last, what is going to be the objective of this particular IMEC, right? India, Middle East, Europe corridor. So that is going to be relevant for prelims. If it is going to be in macro question और IR में एक थीम और या फिर थोड़ा सा macro aspects में देखें, so हो सकता है IOR के रीजन को लेकर के या फिर काउंटर चाइना को लेकर के या BRI की पॉलिसीज को लेकर के क्वेश्चन कैन बी क्लब्ड, right? So this is going to be an important topic because it was recently conceptualized and Prime Minister is going to talk about on this. ठीक, moving to the next, as I was telling you, Marseille is going to be the city which is going to be in news because of multiple reasons. Firstly, the one of the major important reason that AI Action Summit, which I was telling in the opening introduction, that AI Summit has actually happened into the France, and on this particular summit there is going to be a session on Beyond the Classroom. You all can watch on this upcoming scheduled time. Secondly, when I talk about the India and France relationship, so there are other dimensions which we have already covered into our daily news analysis, that how India and France are going to be important with respect to the defense sector, with respect to the technological, in the cultural and political. So, as you know, we share the cultural values as well as the republic values with the France, and in our Republic Day parade, the chief guest is also going to be Mr. Macron. He has participated into the Republic Day parade also. So, how our different dimensions are, or how these particular themes are linked with respect to India-France relationship, that we have covered in our DNA classes or in our DNA sessions. So, you can all watch these particular themes. And with respect to AI, there is going to be the Action Summit which actually happened. It happened into the historical city of Marseille. Secondly, it is going to be the connecting port in France, that is going to be the opening via this particular port to the France, right? Talking about the IMEC, India, Middle East, Europe corridor. Next, we have inaugurated our Indian consulate into Marseille. So, my question is, what is going to be the difference between consulate and embassy? That you should comment in our comment box, right? So, that is why this particular city is going to be news. मैप में इसकी जोग्राफिकल लोकेशन क्या है, आसपास में मेजर कनेक्टिंग सिटीज़ कौन सी हैं, कोई मेजर ओशियन है या कोई मेजर सी है, दैट यू शुड लुक फॉरवर्ड टू, राइट? So, next, just giving you a brief about the Marseille, that it also served as a base for Indian troops during World War I. Secondly, it is a port city, that means it is going to be located near some water body in southern France and on the Mediterranean coast, right? So, it is going to open into the Mediterranean coast. Secondly, it is going to be a port city, so definitely very much important for economic activities or trade or industry, right? So, as you know, in the Gujarat also, or in the Mumbai also. So, we all the coast cities, or all the cities which are located on our coastline, play a very important role in the trade and economic boost. So, similarly, this is going to play an economic importance because it is a port city. Next, as talking about the history, it is one of the oldest cities of the France, and linked to India. It is served as a base for Indian troops, and as we are going to inaugurate our consulate, it is going to be a historic moment for strengthening India-France cultural, economic and people-to-people ties, right? So, that is a bit about the Marseille city. The only homework or the only thing which you can see, its geographical location, where it is going to be situated in the map, right? So, with reference to the recent consulate opening in the France, consider the following statement. It was opened in the city of the Paris, that is the first statement, and second, Marseille, a city in France, has also served a base for Indian troops during both of the world wars. So, that is the question for you. You can comment the correct answer in the comment box, right? So, moving towards the next topic, that is Einstein ring. So, as the name suggests, it must be on the name of the famous scientist Albert Einstein. Or Einstein ring क्या है? It is going to be a ring of light that forms around a massive celestial body, and that is going to because of the phenomena of the gravitational lensing, right? So, recently a European Space Agency has discovered this Einstein ring, that is why it is going to be news, and the name of the telescope which actually discovered is going to be the name of Euclid telescope, right? So, it is going to be there by, or it is going to be used by European Space Agency, or name of the telescope is Euclid telescope. So, if we go into this particular article, we see that European Space Agency has discovered, or is that space telescope has discovered an Einstein ring around a galaxy some 590 million light years from the Earth. So, as you know, light year is going to be the measurement of the distance, right? So, that is one news. Secondly, when we talk about the Einstein ring, so it is going to be a ring that may or form around the dark matter or galaxy or a cluster of galaxies, right? So, it is going to be a form because the light is going to be bent right, along a celestial body, and that is going to be formation of a light around a celestial body. So अगर इसको थोड़ा सा basic detail में समझना हो, so we can study with this particular thing that it is going to be a ring of light around a form of the dark matter galaxy or a cluster of galaxies, and it is going to be occur because of a gravitational lensing. What is going to be gravitational lensing? So gravitational lensing is going to be a phenomena because of the presence of a one particular celestial body, and around this celestial body the gravitational field is going to be created. So the light which is going to be coming from another far distance any of the celestial body is going to bend around this particular body or this particular celestial body because of the gravitational field, and bending of light is going to be known as the gravitational lensing phenomena, right. So this is the phenomena which is going to give the rise of the Einstein ring, and that is it is correctly mentioned is a phenomena that occurs when a massive massive object bends lights, distorting and magnifying the image of the distant object, right. And in this particular case, that particular galaxy or that particular major celestial body is going to be NGC 65005. So if somebody is going to ask you a question recently, NGC 6505 was seen in news, it is related to which of the following? So you must know this answer, right. So as this particular article also suggests, or if you read that in this case the recently discovered NGC 6505 was the gravitational lens which distorted and amplified the light coming from a distant unnamed galaxy located 4.442 billion light years away, right. So that is going to be there. And why is this Einstein rings is going to be very much important? Because they are going to help to discover that how universe is going to be formed, about the dark matter जिसके बारे में बहुत कम knowledge है, right. तो इसके बारे में अगर आप देखें तो रेयर आइंस्टीन रिंग इज गोइंग टू बी डिस्कवर्ड अराउंड NGC 656 which is going to be 590 million light years away, and it was discovered by European Space Agency by using the telescope Euclid Space Telescope, right. And if I talk about the origin of the name, as I told you, it must be related to the Albert Einstein who gave the famous theory of relativity which predicted that light could bend around the objects across the cosmos, right. So it is a very rare phenomena. It is less than occurs less than 1% of the galaxies have Einstein ring, right. So significance, as I was telling you, that it is going to be because of the dark matter research, right, क्योंकि उससे यूनिवर्स काफ़ी और मेजर ऑफ द जो टोटल मैटर है उसमें डार्क मैटर का 85% कॉन्स्टिट्यूट करता है, बट डार्क मैटर के बारे में या डिटेल्स के बारे में अभी उतनी जानकारी नहीं है. सो इट इज़ गोइंग टू हेल्प विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द रिसर्च ऑफ डार्क मैटर्स, देन स्टडिंग डिस्टेंट गैलेक्सीज, देन स्टडिंग अबाउट द यूनिवर्स एक्सपेंशन, दैट हाउ द यूनिवर्स इज expanding, right. So that is the basic about the Einstein ring which you must remember, right. Talking about a practice question, consider the following statement with respect to Einstein ring. Pehla, they are visible to the naked eye. So actually they are not going to be visible to the naked eye, and they can only be observed using a space telescope. So I gave you a hint of this particular answer, that they are going to be not visible by the naked eye. Second, they are an example of the gravitational lensing, and less than 1% of galaxies have Einstein ring. So now if you have watched this particular video properly, so you know about these two statements, kindly comment the correct answer in the comment box, right. सो आइंस्टीन रिंग के बारे में हमें क्या क्या पता होना चाहिए कि इसका मेजर ओरिजिन क्या है, इसका मेजर सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है, ग्रेविटेशनल लेंसिंग का फिनोमेना क्या होता है, और अभी कौन से वाली गैलेक्सी, कौन से वाले कॉस्मिक ऑब्जेक्ट की वजह से, दैट इज NGC 6506, इसकी वजह से जो ग्रेविटेशनल लेंसिंग हुई, और देन देयर इज गोइंग टू बी द फिनोमेना ऑफ आइंस्टीन रिंग. सो दीज आर द बेसिक थिंग्स विच यू मस्ट नो बाय दिस पर्टिकुलर न्यूज़. ओके. So now moving towards the next topic, that is bird atlas. So bird watchers and volunteers to develop Hyderabad bird atlas. It is in news for today's particular thing, that is why it can be asked into the prelims part of exam. So Hyderabad bird atlas is mapping of the bird distribution and monitoring population changes with the help of the volunteers. So as you know, in our country bird migration happens in some of the migratory seasons, right, especially into the winter seasons, right. So that is going to be the first kind of a initiative which has been taken care to map that how this particular migration is happening, what kind of birds are going to come, in which areas they are going to come. So, mapping of this particular bird migration is going to be in the form of bird atlas that is going to be happening in Hyderabad. इससे पहले भी कुछ वाले शहरों में हुआ है, जैसे आप देखेंगे कि it has been developed into Pune, Mysore and Coimbatore, and it has been taken into the Hyderabad. So, it is the first kind of an initiative which is the bird distribution in Hyderabad to monitor the changes of bird population and important bird areas. For example, they are coming to which kind of land, they are coming to wetlands, they are coming to any particular lake, or they are coming to any other. So, that also when we are going to plan the city, we are actually not interfering or we are not encroaching those areas, because they are going to be very much ecological sensitive, and these areas do see bird migration, right. So, that is why we are going to map this migration pattern and which of the land usage and where they are coming, right. Apart from Hyderabad, Pune, Mysore and Coimbatore have done their bird atlas, and it is going to be taken by the volunteers. So, there is no particular major agency is going to be involved. So, it is actually a 3 years project, and it is going will be conducted 2 times. As I told you, there can be different seasons of migration. So, it is going to be conducted into February and July, so that we can identify the birds and which kind of the regions or which kind of the regions they are coming. As I told you, they are coming to lakes, they are coming to wetlands, they are coming to open habitat, or they are coming to urban habitats. That is going to be there, right. And the volunteers are going to organize this or prepare this world atlas. So, that is no major agency is going to be involved, right. So, if I ask you a question, that objectives of the bird atlas recently: to understand the bird distribution, to monitor the changes in bird population, to identify the important bird areas, and to inform authorities about land usage planning. Now, you can easily answer this and you can comment in that, right. So, I hope that today's DNA program helped you out in terms of structuring or simplifying the newspaper, and to mark out the areas which news is going to be relevant to which subject and how you should cover this particular news. So, thank you all for watching today's session. We will be coming with the next session tomorrow. Thank you and have a great day.
We come to the next article. Next article is the new income tax bill. Okay, as promised, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman gave new changes in the income tax bill. Okay, the first very important change which has been discussed is the new tax brackets that we had for this year. Okay, like people who earning less than 12 lakhs per annum are not viable for taxation as of now. Okay, but apart from that, she also proposed a new income tax bill which will bring in a lot of changes. Okay, so we'll see what are those. Okay, the income tax bill has been made, has been presented. Okay, so the changes proposed are qualitative improvements like simplified language. The current bill is 24% shorter. Okay, earlier bill had 823 pages, and the present bill which is being made is 622 pages long. Okay, then consolidation of amendments, a lot of amendments, okay, which have been redundant, okay, have been erased, have been gotten rid of. Okay, so we have a more sleek document. Okay, next, removal of obsolete redundant things. Okay, like all provisions and explanations have been removed. Okay, like we had in the constitution. If you read, if you have PM Bakshi in your home, you can see that after every article there is a long explanation. Okay, that is also the case with all the laws and even some judgments. Okay, so this extra fluff has been gotten rid of. Okay, like 1200 provisos and 900 explanations. So this is the extra volume which has been cut down. Okay, structural rationalization through tables and formulae, like to reduce the verbosity. Okay, more tables and formulae have been introduced to make it more friendly for the taxpayers. Like many of you have already paid tax, but very few of you might actually have seen the bill. Okay, unless someone is working actively in taxation like CAs and all, only they know what the bill is written. Okay, but now the idea is that people who pay tax should have an idea and have first-hand knowledge of what's there in the tax bill. Okay, so they are cutting out all the fluff or the very jargon, technical jargons. Okay, preservation of existing taxation principles, like all the principles are same here. Okay, so conceptual changes. One important thing is they have come with a concept of tax year. Okay, so we had a lot of terms in the income tax file, if you have ever filed, okay, annual year, okay, so assessment year. So now they have brought a term tax year, which is 12-month period beginning April 1st, like April 1st to 31st March, it will be a tax year. Next, we have crypto as a property. So crypto is going to be recognized as a capital asset. Okay, virtual digital assets such as crypto have been included in the definition of property to be counted as capital asset. Okay, there is no change in scope for virtual digital assets. Okay, and expanded definition of income to include evolving income sources, like even income from the cryptocurrency market, okay, will be counted as income. And earlier it was kind of gray area. Okay, so you were not very clear how much you have to pay tax on that. Okay, but now it has been settled, it has been clarified. Okay, implementation and roadmap. Okay, we have, it will come into effect on 1st April 2026. Okay, so whatever changes they are bringing will not come into effect this year, it will come only next year. Okay, and as of now the current status of the bill is that it has been sent to the parliamentary committee, okay, for detailed examination and suggestions. Okay, so and with the announcement, okay, of this bill, okay, when this bill was shown, okay, there were a few criticisms, like it lacks significant changes in penalty or compliance frameworks, like the compliances have not been changed, like the tax bracket has been shifted, but the process of compliance, okay, the payment of taxes, the timeline, the duration has been kept same. Okay, it lacks major structural reforms. Yes, that is a problem, because we were promised a lot of reforms in that, but this particular tax bill was not up to the mark, was not up to what people might have been expecting from the repeated announcements of big changes coming to our way. Okay, so that was about the income tax bill. Here's a prelims question, objective question on this particular bill. You can attempt it. Next, we have impeachment of judges. So it has come in news because there have been calls for removal of a certain judge of a high court. Okay, so we see what is happening on that side. Okay, it pertains to the Indian Pertinent Constitution part of GS2. Okay, about the news, 55 opposition Rajya Sabha MPs had submitted a notice under Article 124(4). Okay, to that article. So when the members are propose the impeachment, okay, they have to come bring a notice in front of the chairman of the house, okay, and they will have to accept it or deny, and that's the discretionary power the house speaker has, chairman of the house has. Okay, so the current Rajya Sabha chairman Jagdish Dhankar, okay, has said constitutionally it lies in exclusivity with the chairman of Rajya Sabha and in an eventuality with the parliament and the president. Okay, so we see the procedure, the constitutional articles, what the constitution says about the impeachment. Okay, Article 218, okay, it says the same provisions shall apply in the judges of High Court as well. Like this article is specifically for Supreme Court judges, but the same procedure will be applied to High Court judges. Okay, Article 124(4) and 218, okay, has the provision for removal of Supreme Court judges and High Court judges respectively. Okay, for Supreme Court it's 124(4) and for High Court judges it is 218. Okay, so the criteria for removal is proved misbehavior or incapacity. Okay, next, like this is the constitutional provision. To give effect to that particular provision, government has made an act. Okay, Judges Inquiry Act. Like the constitution does not give powers to executive. Okay, it gives powers to executive to make an act through which they can do. Like government said there should be abolition of untouchability. The constitution said. Okay, so but for that government had to make an act. Okay, so that is the actual constitution at work. Okay, so Judges Inquiry Act 1968 regulates the procedures for removing Supreme Court judge and High Court judge. So we will see what the procedure actually is. Okay, the procedure starts with removal motion. Like currently, motion was passed by 55 members of Rajya Sabha. For Rajya Sabha, it is 50 members. For Lok Sabha, it is 100 members. Okay, then after it is approved and accepted by the chairman of the house, it goes to the 3-member committee which investigates like if the charges labeled are actually true or not. Okay, and next, if that is found to be true, on the report submitted by this 3-member committee, it is brought to vote in the first house of parliament. Like there has been given a flexibility, like either house of the parliament, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, can start the process. Okay, so in the first house, it has to pass with a special majority, and so similar is the case with next house. So if it starts in Rajya Sabha, that currently the proceeding is in Rajya Sabha. If Rajya Sabha passes with a special majority, it will have to go to Lok Sabha, and there also it will have to pass by special majority. Okay, and then when both houses have consented, it will go to the president, and he will issue order for removal of the judge. One thing to know is that no judge has ever been impeached in India as of now. So we will see if this case happens to be the first case. Okay, so this is a question on removal of judges. Next, the Volkswagen case. So what happened is that Volkswagen, a German company, has been sent notice for $1.4 billion. Okay, so we will see what the issue is about. Okay, so India demanded 1.4 billion in back taxes from Volkswagen after 12 years of scrutiny. Okay, next, so it because of this, a lot of issues came up, like lengthy tax investigations and litigation, okay, affecting foreign investment. And it's not a one-off case, because other companies of similar sector, of automotive sector, have been struck by this particular decision. Okay, like Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai, Honda, Toyota, almost all the major MNCs in automotive sector have been issued notices collectively of about $6 billion. So we'll see what the exact dispute is about. Okay, allegation. So it is the government said that Volkswagen company avoided higher custom duties on fully assembled units. So what happens is that when you import spares, okay, the taxes are 5 to 15%. Okay, but when you import full cars in knockdown units, the taxes are 30 to 35%. Okay, in complete knockdown units. So government is saying, like Volkswagen, you imported completely knockdown units, full cars, but passed them off as spare parts. So now you have already paid 5 to 15% of tax, import duty, but now you should pay the difference. Like earlier it was 15%, now it should have been 35%. So you have to pay the difference now. So that is the issue, and government and the Volkswagen company is resisting. They are saying that they were due to Indian bureaucracy's inaction and tardiness. Like they said, this case has been running, investigation has been running for say 12 years. If in 12 years you would have let us know that this is how you are counting spares and knockdown units, we would have accounted it appropriately from the next cycle. But you did not do that. You just come now and say from 12 years you were doing this. Okay, so this is a problem. Okay, they say the fault is not ours but on your side. Next, we have argues that a quicker review would have allowed for a timely challenge or adjustment of import strategies. They said, yes, had you told us about this say 10 years ago, because you have been knowing it for 12 years, you have been investigating it. Okay, so had you told us 10 years ago, we would have challenged it in that time, or changed our policies, brought changes at our end. Okay, so that is a problem that you have. Okay, and if you had told us in time, this import bill, the extra bill, will not have been like 1.4 billion now, it would have been a few $1 million. Okay, so that's the issue. Says the delayed notice affects investor confidence in India. That is a very important argument that Volkswagen is saying, is that if you do these things post after so many years, okay, so retrospectively, okay, then the investor confidence in India as a country will come down, and India as an economy will come down. Okay, like it also happened with the Vodafone case. Okay, Vodafone case. Okay, next, impact on foreign investment raised fears about stability of India as a favorable investment destination. Like FDI will not come to India if there is a lot of volatility and a lot of policy flip-flops. Like you are inviting foreign car makers, but if you tell them retrospectively after 10 years that you are importing things in a wrong manner, then we can approve, so you have to pay more. It sends a very wrong message regarding Indian economy in the foreign markets. Okay, investors are worried about long-standing disputes resurfacing of years of dormancy, like here also it has been being investigated for say 12 years now. Okay, concerns that tax disputes can deter foreign companies from heavy investment in India. Like I said, it erodes India's position as a favorable destination for FDI. So one way ahead is amnesty scheme. Amnesty scheme means the government can say, okay, you have been wrong, but we will let you go this time, because the government is also at fault here, because they have been dragging its feet on the decision. Okay, had they told about it 10 years ago, the import bill, the tax bill would not have been mounted so much. Okay, so yes, the government should accept that its process was at fault. Okay, the so lengthy review was not a best thing to do, so it can grant amnesty. They can say, okay, is bar we can let it go, but you change your strategies to match our policies. Okay, next, tribunal demand. Okay, India's appeal tribunal for customs excise and service tax has faced a backlog of 80,000 cases. Okay, so that is the problem. These issues don't get resolved because all our tribunals are choked. So we should work on these structural improvements, okay, and not come down heavily on a particular company. So we'll see what happens in this case. They will definitely appeal it in the Supreme Court. Okay, we'll see. Next is a particular question about objective question from this topic. Next we have medical termination of pregnancy. What happens is that in the news is that Bombay High Court permits women to terminate 25-week pregnancy at private hospital despite 24 weeks bar. Okay, so we will see why there is a bar for 24 weeks. Okay, it talks about the relevance is from GS2 paper, governance policies and interventions. Okay, so context, the court granted the relief citing utmost urgency, like the pregnancy was already 25 weeks. Okay, so that was quite urgent, and the court noted that conscious of the right of the petitioner to reproduce to reproductive freedom, her autonomy of her body and her right to choice. Okay, so it's a major debate in say US. Okay, this right to pregnancy, right to bodily autonomy is a major political and cultural issue in US, but India, luckily, we don't attach a lot of emotions to this particular topic, this particular logic issue, and we say yes, women have right to pregnancy, a right to abortion when they want. Okay, and when even after the safe limit, if there is medical advice to do so for the safety of the mother, it should be allowed. So we'll see the Pregnancy Act, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 2021. Okay, it extended gestation period limit. Okay, earlier act was 1971. It was amended in 2021. It was long due. It was 50 years later. Okay, up to 20 weeks, anyone can get a pregnancy on account of failed contraception. Okay, between 20 and 24. Okay, permitted for certain categories of women. Yes, it is still permitted till 24 weeks. 24 weeks is 6 months. Okay, beyond 24 weeks, you have to approach the state. Okay, state or UT medical board determines termination in cases of substantial fetal abnormalities. After 24 weeks, if you want to have a termination of pregnancy, you will have to approach the state. They will make a board of doctors who will examine you and recommend how to go about it. Okay, if they say no, this pregnancy is a threat to life of the mother, then you will be allowed to do that. Okay, so it also brought the privacy clause, like you need not, if say before up to 20 weeks, okay, if someone wants a pregnancy, they will have full safety and privacy. Okay, this act helps in that. Okay, so we have a practice question on this particular act. Okay, so go through it. So these were the topics for the day. We discussed 5 topics. Follow us for more such videos. Thank you.
Now let's start with the explained topics of today's daily news decoding session. The first article visible over your screen is Kremlin says that G7 has lost a lot of relevance after Trump calls for Russia to be readmitted. On the other side, we have witnessed that Saudi Arabia has been very much optimistic regarding the meeting of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin in Saudi Arabia. So that is why the G7 again has come into a very larger domain. So now let's start with this topic. The topic says for say G7, this is an intergovernmental organization comprising the world's most advanced economies. It plays a critical role in shaping global economic policies first, security frameworks three, and geopolitical strategies. And how or what it is all about, we'll talk it further. First, let's discuss the evolution of G7, how it got come into the picture. So in 1975, it started as a G6. 6 countries were there: France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK and USA, and Canada joined as a 7th member in 1976. Always remember this thing, this factual understanding is very much important, right? So the ultimately the G7 came into the limelight in 1976. Now, Russia joined G7 in 1998, making it G8, and it was suspended in 2014 after the annexation of Crimea, right? Current members are Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK, USA and EU as a non-enumerated members, and there are certain fundamental core values of this G7. For say, promotes freedom, democracy and human rights on the global stage. Now, the significance of G7 at this moment for say economic policy coordination. First, we need to understand that around G7, around 10% of the population, 10% of the population of the world population, first thing. Second very important thing, that all the G7 members are members of G20. So that means the say in G7 will be visible in G20 meeting, and it even works as a, the countries in G7 works as a bridge between G7 and G20, right? So this is this very important aspect that we need to first highlight and we need to understand. Moving further, for say now talk about this economic policy coordination. We know that around 26% of global GDP, 26% of global GDP are coming from the side of G7 countries, right? 26% of global GDP. That means it remains a key driver of financial regulation. Financial regulations, right? This is the first important aspect that drives that why policy coordination is of importance. Second, it even shapes the global trade, the taxation aspect and other things associated. So this is policy coordination. Second is geopolitical stability and influencing. G7 works as a platform which gives certain guidelines or discusses pressing global crisis. Pressing global crisis. For say Russia-Ukraine issue, Israel-Palestinian issue at this moment, China's expansionist policies, etc. are the things which being discussed on the G7 platform. Third, climate change and energy security. For say topics like carbon neutrality, phasing out fossil fuels, renewable energy investment, right? Renewable energy investment. These are the things that comes into the domain of climate change and energy security aspect. Moreover, in this as well, there are certain partnerships for say just energy transition partnership. Supports developing nations into developing the clean energy. So this initiative is of the G7, right? So with the not only with the help of the policies, but with the help of certain partnerships, it even helps the developing countries. So now technology and digital governance. For say G7 led global partnership on AI that was developed in 2018. It set the foundation of ethical consideration of AI in global practices. Again, it was an initiative of the G7. First aspect. Second, the Hiroshima AI process. The Hiroshima AI process 2023 addresses certain concerns like AI, deep fakes, AI risk, etc. So on the one particular part, they are talking about the guidelines of ethicals, and at the second part, they are even letting us know that there are certain risks and the the things associated which needs to be countered with. So this is technological and digital governance aspect. Last, and the strengthening democratic alliances. For say club, the very important things that comes to our mind is G7 led a club of democracies. G7 countries position themselves as a club of democracies to counter authoritarian influences in the world, so that fair trade, equalitarian society, different very moral aspects can take place in different countries in different world, right? So this is this aspect of the significance of the G7 at this moment. But now there are certain challenges associated. The first challenge is declining economic dominance. How? So for say earlier the G7 used to have around 60% of the GDP in the world, but now it has only 26% of the GDP compared to the countries like BRICS, which covers around 50% of the GDP. So that is the reason we may say that it is declining economic dominance. The other factor that we may have in our domain is for say the rise of certain countries like India and China, right? Definitely weakens the G7 financial leadership or dominance. Other countries, if we bring for say Brazil, right? So this is the first challenge that is upon the G7 countries. The second is limited inclusivity. So for say there are forums like G20, African Union, right, and BRICS, I would say, right? If I compare G7 with these three things, then we must say that G7 lacks the voice of global south. That means lacks the voice of global south, right? This is a very greater challenge. Third, I would say certain emerging countries, for say India, China and Brazil, are not even the members of the G7 at this moment, when the world is trying to become multipolar. So the inclusion of those countries will definitely make sure that the G7 will work more tandem with the democratic principles, right? But this is again, this limited inclusivity is one of the greatest challenge. Third, lack of institutional framework. For say, if I talk about the lack of institutional framework, right, the thing that comes to our mind is for say annual leadership rotation. This annual leadership rotation causes the shiftage of the priorities concerned by the different concerned country. This is the lack of institutional framework. First thing. Second thing, the very major thing is that with G7 there is no permanent secretariat. There is no permanent secretariat. There is no permanent secretariat which can definitely allow a uniform policies or a different uniformity across the policies, right? So this is one of the very greater challenge with respect to the G7. This is lack of institutional framework. Now at last, internal division. So for say we know G7 climate declaration 2018, we saw this thing that G7 climate declaration 2018 was one-sidedly rejected by the USA, right, just to safeguard its own interest. So this shows the internal differences first. Second, there are even the differences among the countries with respect to the China's trade policies, right. So these things shows that there is a internal divisions within the G7, which is definitely has become over the years a greater challenge to deal with. Now, what is importance of G7 for India, or how the relationship between India and G7 can take place? Now we can understand this thing with four different domains. For say, India's increasing participation. For say, India has been invited 11 times so far. 11 times so far to be present in the G7 meetings that showcase the India's global importance in the contemporary part. First thing. Second, for say we know Japan is one of the member of the G7, but the recent data shows that India is definitely going to outlast or outweigh Japan and trying to become as the third largest global economy. In that particular senses, there is a growing demand for a country like India to become member of the G7, right? So countering Japan will be a major thing that is asking India to become a part of G7. First thing. Now, second is a counterbalance to the China. For say, if I talk about India, China has been recognized as a country which is not respecting the international rulings. Compared to China, India is a country which is strict itself with international rulings. This shows that India can definitely take place of China. First thing, right? Second, India is a democratic country. Right? Which is definitely a more stable voice for the global south as well, because India does not promote authoritarian regime. So these two reasons can definitely give India a very robust understanding that yes, a counterbalance to China and India can become a member of G7. Voice of global south, this democratic country point that I just quoted, right? This is this scenario, or this is been with the one example for say G20 2023 was convened in India, right? So India has become definitely a very major voice for global south at this moment. Strategic benefits to India, right? For say it gives a chance for diplomatic engagement, so that India can freely talk about its interests, or rather showing us the hard face. India with the help of the negotiations can deal with the middle path and get its things done. So this platform gives this diplomatic engagement to India. So this is the importance of this G7 platform to India as well, right? Now this is the practice questions over your screen. Please practice this, right? Now the other topic, Modi, Shah and Rahul set to meet on Monday to choose the next Chief Election Commissioner. Now, why this topic in news? Because the Rajiv Kumar Sahab, the Chief Election Commissioner of India, is going to be retired on 18th of Feb 2025. And one convention that a new CEC, the Chief Election Commissioner, must be selected before its retirement. This would be the first time that a CEC would be selected under the provision of the new law, that is Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners appointment, condition and services and Terms of Office Act 2023. Now the new selection process. Earlier, the presidents used to appoint CECs based on the government's recommendation, based on the panel, right? But now the new law mandates a selection panel. A selection panel of one is Prime Minister, second is Leader of Opposition in Lok Sabha. This point is very important. Third is a Union Minister. Earlier it was the Chief Justice of India, but now this is the Union Minister now comes into the picture. This is of very importance with respect to your prelims examination. Now, the roles are about certain information regarding the CEC. It heads the Election Commission of India for ensuring free and fair elections, first thing. Second thing, very important, this tenure is fixed of 6 years, that to the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. Third, removal, very important thing, the Chief Election Commissioner can be removed from his office in a manner unlike the grounds as a judge of Supreme Court, right? Again, on your screen, there is a practice question that you should practice. The next topic is National Games Closing Ceremony. And the article says that National Games Closing Ceremony, India ready to host 2036 Olympics. Now, with this topic, there are two things that comes to our mind. The first is National Games and the second is the Olympics, right? Now, start with the National Games. Uttarakhand hosted the 38th National Games with participants from 28 states and 8 union territories, and the Services Sports Control Board. This is of very important point. Nowadays or in earlier we have witnessed that UPSC from the side of sports has asked questions in prelims examination. That is why things like this has become immense important with respect to your prelims examination. Second, this Services Sports Control Board has topped the medal tally for the 5th time in 6 editions with 121 medals. Maharashtra won 198 medals and ranked 2nd due to fewer gold. About 38 National Games. National Games is an Olympic style event where states and UT competes for the medal. And the game's mascot, the Molly, it was inspired by Uttarakhand's state bird, which is the Monal. Now again the point Olympic Games, because Olympic Games was in news, right? Now the criteria, why we are witnessing, because India aims to host the 2036 Olympics. For say, according to the Olympic Charter, the hosts are chosen 7 years before the event. Very important thing. Again, to be minded, these kind of statements are of great importance with respect to your prelims examination. So, according to Olympic Charter, the hosts are chosen for 7 years before the event. First thing. Second, the host countries submit a letter of interest to the IOC through their national Olympic committees. Bidding sites complete detailed questionnaire which are again evaluated by the IOC. The IOC Evaluation Commission finally conducts inspection of all the proposed venues of the particular country. The IOC session then votes on the final bids and finalizes the host nation. But apart from this thing, one topic which is of great importance, the inclusion of games in the Olympics. Now, inclusion of games in the Olympics can be dealt with in 2 parts. The male and the man and the female, the male and the female. For men, the games must be played in 75 countries and across 5 continents. Only the game which is played by the men meet this strict criteria, only then it may be included as a sports event in Olympics. But for the females, it is first to be played at least in 40 countries and 4 continents. So this very important aspect with respect to your prelims examination. This is the reference question that needs to be practiced. Then afterwards, the last topic, NOTA records lowest percentage share since introduction. None of the above option, NOTA, right? This is itself is a very important topic with respect to the prelims, mains and your personality test aspect. So now what is NOTA? It is an option on electronic voting machine EVM that allows voters to register their discontent with available options on the candidates. That means, for say in a constituency 12 members are fighting the election. Apart from the 12 buttons, there will be another button, the red button will be there, which is NOTA. None of the above experience. that means they are giving you a chance to give in your discontent that you are not very much happy with the candidates fighting, right? Earlier it was thought that it is a very much important democratic practices or the right, the tool which will be given in the hands of the people, so that they may give a discontent to the parties, and along, or I would say along or on the line of the percentage of the nota, the parties may decide that this is the person to be given the ticket or not. So to impart a very fair, healthy, democratic election processes, the nota was introduced in Indian election process. Now, until 2013, Rule 49O of the conduct of election involved filling out a form at the polling station, which means that the secrecy guaranteed to the voter was compromised. Now, after 2013, a civil rights organization PUCL, they moved to the Supreme Court with a petition demanding the inclusion of a nota option in the electoral process in India. Supreme Court directed the Election Commission of India to include the nota option on the ballot papers and EVMs for election to the Lok Sabha and the respective state assemblies. Nota was used for the first time in 2013 in assembly states in 5 states, for say Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Rajasthan, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, and then later in 2014 general Lok Sabha elections in India, right? So this again is a very important information with respect to your prelims examination. The Supreme Court refused to direct the Election Commission to hold fresh polls if the majority of the electoral exercise the nota option while voting. This is one of the criticism that has been given regarding the nota. So for say in India, FT, first part the post system has been practiced. But now for suppose that from this FTPT, in one constituency we have found that a candidate or in a constituency nota has outweighed the number of the votes given to the other candidates. For say 60% has been given to the nota, but other 40 or kind of thing has been given to other people. In that particular case, there was a voice that the re-election must take place. But Supreme Court rejected it, refused it to direct the Election Commission to hold the fresh polls. A very important aspect, right? By the order of the State Election Commission, nota can be declared as a fictional electoral candidate and fresh elections are held if nota gets the majority of the votes. So again, this is the power of the State Election Commissions, right? Recent data for the nota, the data must be in a domain. For say, in the general election Lok Sabha 2024, the nota got 0.99% compared to 1.06% in 2019. If I talk about three past consecutive years nota data, so we know that the trend has been declining, right? And it declined directly from 1.08% to 0.99% in 2014. That means in 2014, there was 1.108% of the nota. But now this is 0.99% of the votes in form of nota in 2024. Now again, this is a reference question to be practiced by you people, right? Keep watching Daily News Decoded. I hope the points that we are trying to convey, the topics that we are trying to convey, and what manner we are trying to convey is being easily understood by you people. I hope and I wish all you people to keep studying, keep watching Daily News Decoded. All the best. Thank you very much.